excited for today's coffee conversation. Like Christine has been saying, we are going to be journeying into the realm of shamanic journeys today in this coffee conversation. We have been getting so many amazing questions about what is shamanic journeying? How do I do it? Why do I need to shamanic journey instead of doing something like plant medicine? How are those things different? How is a shamanic journey different than shamanic Reiki? All of these really fantastic questions that we've been getting as we've been sharing with you our Soul Rising program. And so we really wanted to address all of these questions and give you an insider's view into what are shamanic journeys and why are they so important. Obviously, you guys know that Christine and I only share things with the community that we really truly believe in and that have personally helped us and that have helped our students. And for both of us, shamanic journeying really is a pillar of our personal practices, not just the things that we teach in our courses, but something that we practice regularly in our daily lives and in our personal practices. And so we're really, really excited to dive into this on today's episode and look at what is so transformational about this process and why is it that way?
Yeah. So let's start with the basics. What is shamanic journeying? So shamanic journeying is when the practitioner, the person who's participating, I should say, is wanting to travel into non-ordinary reality. And many of us can already understand this flavor when it comes to distance Reiki. And oftentimes in distance Reiki, we're envisioning ourselves with the person that we're working on and their space. And in that envisioning, we're doing some middle world work. And meaning that in the shamanic journey, we're moving into non-ordinary reality. And in that non-ordinary reality, we can understand the spiritual realms and the spiritual aspects and the spiritual energy of the world around us. And so there are ways to move into this non-ordinary reality. And with shamanic journey, you're doing it with intention. You're doing it with a focus, saying, my intention is to go here to meet my guide and to ask a question. And that intention will drive you forward to have the experience that you're looking for. So there's a lot of intention, creation, and purpose when we do this work. And then you're literally being able to have these really amazing experiences. Sometimes you'll meet your power animal and they'll take you on a journey to give you the answer symbolically, versus sometimes you'll meet a guide and I've had them show up with a whiteboard and give me, A, B, and C, and D, like this is the steps you need to take to heal yourself or whatever it may be. Sometimes the way they show up and communicate is so personal to you on where you are in your understanding of the world. So they're only going to show you and reveal to you the answer in a way that you would understand it. And so sometimes we need to go take back the layers a bit, going, all right, so they gave me a bunch of daffodils. Well, what do daffodils mean? And how do I understand what daffodils are? What would it represent to me? Instead of going to Google and going, what's the symbolic meaning of this? We want to look at they're showing us information through our subconscious filter. And so in the shamanic journey, we are able to, within 15 minutes, I think this is the cool part. Anytime, anywhere, 15 minutes, you put on a drum beat and you're able to allow your brain to sink into the theta wave, which helps you come into a trance-like state to move into this non-ordinary reality, to meet your guides and helpers. And that's the essence of it. What do you have to add to that, Izzy?
So I love shamanic journeying because I think it's one of those aspects where, just like the chakras, there are really two ways that we can look at it. There's the very profoundly spiritual way of perceiving what a shamanic journey is and looking at our spirit guides and non-ordinary reality and the healing that can occur when we're looking at the energetic blueprint of this physical reality. It's 11:11 my time as I'm saying this. Make a wish, everybody. But like we talked about on Monday's podcast, that idea of the energetic blueprint that's underlying everything is so important. But then I think there's also this aspect that I love playing with when it comes to shamanic journeys, which is the psychological aspect of what's actually happening in our psychology, because we do have this very human part of ourselves that's going on these journeys. And part of the reason that they're so profoundly impactful is because everybody knows that we have a conscious filter, right? We've all experienced when it gets around like 11 o'clock at night and our conscious filter just goes out the window and we're saying whatever it is that comes to mind because we're not thinking about it. We've had those moments. We all know, we have this inherent understanding that there's kind of a veil between our conscious mind, that 5% of ourselves that we're aware of, that we're making choices with, that we're setting intentions with, etc. And then there's that veil, and behind that veil, there's the other 95% of us. There's our subconscious self that is developed from the time we're born until we're around 10 to 12 years old, this basis that we've formed for how we perceive ourselves, others, and the world around us. And this subconscious part of ourself holds everything, all of our beliefs, all of our emotional reactions, all of our triggers, all of our past wounds, our traumas, our memories, everything resides in this subconscious part of ourselves. And this is incredibly powerful for two reasons, because first, it is subconscious. It's not something that we are constantly aware of, which is such a blessing, because can you imagine if we were constantly aware of every single piece of information we've ever gotten in our entire lives and how it's impacting us in each moment? That would be incredibly overwhelming. But it's also important because that means that all of our healing potential, all of our potential for transformation, for new experiences, for creating the life that we want exists in our subconscious mind, because that's where true change occurs, when we can go in and we can work on those neural networks that have formed the basis for our perception of reality. And so what shamanic journeys allow you to do from a psychological perspective is they allow you to bypass the conscious filter and begin working really intricately and deeply in the realm of your subconscious mind. And so what I mean by this is that it's going to show up, just like Christine said, of our subconscious or our guides, or however you resonate with most, is going to connect with us and communicate with us in a way that we can understand. Meaning, it's going to communicate with us in a way that bypasses our conscious filter, that allows us to pull back that veil and see into the subconscious mind and look at what's actually going on here. What's the deeper meaning here? And so, one of my favorite examples that I use with students that I think really helps to illustrate this point is the idea of, if you're going through a divorce, let's say, and you're really struggling with old feelings of abandonment and no one ever chooses me and I'm not lovable and I'm not worthy, and all of these feelings are coming to the surface in the midst of a divorce, you're not going to shamanic journey and have your guides show you your divorce and be like, here's what needs to be healed. You might shamanic journey and suddenly there's a garden in front of you and the left side is dry and wilted and crumbling and the right side is overgrown and overblown and there's weeds everywhere. And looking at what's the symbolism of that, looking at how a garden can represent our heart chakra, which is that center of communication and love and harmony and connection, and how the left side is that feminine receiving side of, you're not able to receive love right now because it's so dried out, because it's so wilted, while the right side is that very masculine giving energy. And looking at, if there's all of these weeds and it's overgrown, then you're protecting yourself by pushing out so much energy. And so it's a really beautiful way of very gently and yet efficiently showing you, here's a snapshot of what's happening in your subconscious self. Here's a snapshot of what's happening in your energy. And by giving you this really clear picture in a way that, again, can bypass your conscious filter, in a way that your conscious mind will accept and understand, then it gives us an opportunity, a door that we can walk through and say, okay, how do we heal this? What do we do now? Looking at, again, oh, it's my left side, it's that receiving that's stunted. How can I begin to let myself receive more, et cetera, et cetera? And the depth of meaning there and the information that you receive is going to change and vary depending on how deeply you're in that practice. But it's a beautiful way of understanding that healing is available as long as we're willing to kind of pull back that curtain, pull back that veil, and dive into the subconscious, dive into the spiritual, dive into those aspects of ourselves, others, and the world around us that aren't available if we're just looking with our physical eyes, or if we're just looking at the physical reality. We have to be willing to look beyond all of that.
Yeah, exactly. And so when we move into the space of shamanic journeying, we're really doing it with intention. We're not going with, I'm just going to there's always an intention that's pulling you forward. And that's really an important piece to shamanic journeying. And I'd like to kind of interject here of like, how is this different than plant medicine? So many people are really excited about plant medicine these days. It's becoming more and more acceptable and legalized in some areas. And plant medicine can be a wonderful experience. Not always, but sometimes it can be a wonderful experience. And yet it's not a shamanic journey. It is a way to move into non-ordinary reality. So there is this piece of plant medicine does allow you to experience the spiritual worlds in a new and profound way. But oftentimes when you're, whether it's ayahuasca or cannabis or psilocybin, like whatever plant medicine that you're partaking in, you're in it for hours and sometimes days. And so there's a very big difference between moving into the spiritual world and realms under the influence of psychedelics, because it can be very like, if you have your intention, it still feels a little bit overwhelming and a little bit coming in from different angles and not being able to hyper focus. So when you are doing a shamanic journey, using the tools and techniques that we teach you here at ReikiCafe University, we're able to go here, any place, anytime, 15 minutes, you can lie down, plug in, listen to the drum beat, and be able to connect. We don't need to have a dieta, like change our diet for weeks on end. We don't need to move into a space of, I'm committing for 2-3 days to do this type of work. It can be so simple. If this was a daily practice, like if I hung out with my spirit guides 15 minutes a day, what would that be like for you? Like you can do it regardless of where you're at. And yes, it takes training to get to that point, but then it's always accessible. And when you have your spirit guides always accessible, you feel so comfortable and confident and clear on your path forward, because you have support, you have a spiritual team available to you. And that is really the biggest difference between, doing plant medicine and shamanic journeying work. That's why they call shamanic journeys a journey. We're going on a journey, and usually the psychedelics it's a trip. It's a trip. We're going on a trip. So, and it's not to say that this one is better than the other. They're just different, and they have different benefits and different aspects. And doing the shamanic journey work can benefit yourself, your spiritual world, whether or not you decide to partake in psychedelics. So we teach shamanic journeying without any kind of plant medicine, because we want you to feel confident and comfortable that you're able to do this whenever you need to, that it's not dependent upon a substance.
Right. And I think this is something that I've had extensive conversations with my brother about this, because he's been very into the plant medicine community, and we've had some really fascinating conversations. And one of my favorite things that he ever said about this was this idea of there's only so much looking out the window you can do before you realize it's time to open the door and just go do it. And his point here was that when we're using psychedelics, it's like we're getting a window into the spiritual world where we are having these profound experiences. A lot of times people walk away from those trips or those plant medicine experiences feeling completely changed. But it's because we're getting these kind of windows in, we're able to look beyond, but not necessarily actively engage with and touch the spiritual realm. And when you do things like shamanic journeying, you're able to actually go out the door and go into the world and into that spiritual experience and look at, what can I learn? How can I engage with this? How do I create a working relationship with the spiritual realm and all of those beings within it? And I think the other thing that's important to think about with plant medicine is, again, not that it's better or worse or any of that. It's just a very different experience, because when you are using plant medicine, your conscious mind is completely left behind. It's not a working part of that relationship. You're kind of blown into your subconscious. You're just completely present, which is a fantastic experience when you need it, but it means that all of the healing and all of the transformation that occurs when you're using plant medicine is immediately going back into your subconscious mind. So you'll come out of that trip and you'll know that you had this amazing experience. You might have these pinpoint memories of it, but it's not going to be the same as if in a shamanic journey, when we bring our conscious mind along and we allow it to be part of the conversation and we allow it to be part of the constructive influence that goes into the journey, because then what we're doing is we're looking at the subconscious, right? We're going into the same aspects that we do when we use plant medicine, but instead of just letting those transformations happen to us, we become part of the transformative process. We become part of the activating influence of those experiences, which means that when we come back from a journey, it stays with us. It's a constructive tool that we can use in our daily life. And so rather than going for a one-time experience and coming back with so much information and not necessarily a lot of know-how on what to do with it, you're going in for shorter but just as profound chunks on a more regular basis, that when you come back, not only have you had that transformation and that healing, but you also have tangible know-how and experiences and tools that you can use in your waking life to continue that transformation, to continue using that knowledge. And so it's using both that subconscious mind to see what needs to be healed and also your conscious mind to actively bring that healing into your waking life. And I think that's a really important distinction. Again, not that it's better or worse, but I think if your goal is true personal transformation and healing on a human level, on your life, your daily waking life, it's if that is where you want to see the transformation occur, then something like a shamanic journey is going to be really profound, because again, it's bringing in that subconscious, it's bringing in those transformative experiences, but then it's giving you the tools and techniques and relationships and trust to be able to continue that healing in your waking life without having to be out of your body in order to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it becomes this really empowering thing, because if you have this tool in your toolkit, then you can utilize it. I mean, and I think that's the beautiful thing, is that while you're shamanic journeying, while you're learning how to do this, your spiritual gifts awaken. So if you if you remember being a kid and had, an imaginary friend, or if you were like me who talked to statues in the church, or, whatever it was, all of those spiritual gifts are going to awaken and be enhanced. Not only your primary spiritual gift, but all of them. And in doing so, you are able to interact with the spiritual world on a more regular basis throughout your life. And so for me, like, just to give you an example that happened to me very recently, I'm visiting my folks down in Arizona. After a few nights, I mean, I was sleeping great the first few nights I was here, and then all of a sudden I had a series of nightmares. And I was just like, pause, time out. What is going on here? And I was like, oh, there's a spirit in this house that needs help. She came because I'm here and she needs help. And I was able to move into a shamanic journey to support the spirit to cross over and to really help clear the energetics of my parents' new house. They just moved in. So I was able to clear it all from a shamanic journey perspective. And so this is something that, like, all right, I'm having a significant effect on my sleep. I'm having these nightmares. I can have the spiritual awareness of what is going on, and I have the tools and techniques to go into an energetic space to help heal the energy of the space. And so wherever you are struggling in your life, there's always a helper in the shamanic journey that's willing to help you in it. So you're going to be meeting your power animals, your spirit guides, your business guide, your whoever is on your team, they're going to start make themselves known. And so oftentimes students will ask me, well, do I only have one power animal? I'm like, well, you have one primary, but you could have like 10 right now. Like, and they're all working on different areas and aspects of your life. So like when my daughter was born, it was so clear that hers was a duck. Like, I was like, oh, you have duck energy. And then it's been her bunny, her rabbit has been there always. And so it's like, even in children, you can notice around your house. If you collect certain figurines of all one animal, that's most likely your power animal, and start talking to them, start interacting with them. And so I think part of the shamanic journey is, yes, we have the opportunity to close our eyes, tune in, listen to the drum beat, to allow ourselves to go deeper into the experience. And then it impacts you on the daily life. You'll start seeing more animals in your world. You'll start seeing feathers. You're having these spiritual experiences in your walking everyday life when you're doing this work, because you're starting to see the world from animist eyes, meaning understanding that everything has energy. The tree has a spiritual energy. The rock has spiritual energy. The lamp has spiritual energy. And so you start interacting with the world as if not only is dream time a dream, but daytime isn't a dream. And if daytime is a dream, then I can work in the quantum field to manifest the desired reality I want. It's like lucid dreaming. And so how all of these skills start to kind of weave themselves together can allow you to be really in a position to really walk a spiritual life, and one that feels blessed and easy and flowing, and you can know when you're in alignment and you know when you're not. I typically get shamanic Reiki sessions fairly regularly because it's something that I do for my spiritual health. And the other day I had my gal, she's one of our graduates. She called me and she's like, "Are you wanting a session this weekend?" And at first I was like, "No, I'm with my parents. I'm like, I should spend time with them." And I was like, "Wait a second." My anxiety level is like through the roof right now. Should I say yes to this? Absolutely. I'm saying yes to this, right? Because I'm more energetically aware. When I can slow down, I can say what part of me is in alignment and flowing, and what part of me is out of alignment and I need support with. I could just have easily done a shamanic journey. And so what it does to me, it actually makes me have a timeout. When I sign up for a shamanic Reiki session, it's a timeout. It's a timeout for me. And the person who's doing the session, they're on a shamanic journey, they're getting information. And then in that timeout, I'm on a shamanic journey too. I had my own shamanic experience. And so this was just a few days ago. I was like, all right, my anxiety is through the roof. It's probably because I've had these weird things happen in in the house, and now I need to work on me. So I went into the lower world, which is a space where usually my power animals reside. And I was like, I need to be fully buried in the dirt. I need to be rebirthed in the dirt. I need to give all of this to the earth. And I just saw myself be buried into the earth and be fully composted. No longer did I have a body. I was just fully part of the earth and then reborn out of it. And in that rebirthing out of it, I was like, I feel so much better. That feels amazing. And in that lightness, I became one with condor, and I emerged with this condor bird, and I could feel what it was to feel like. Not only do you have these massive wings and fly, but to feel how light it was to have hollow bones. And so part of the shamanic journey is that you learn how to become one with these spirit animals. And so in Condor, I was able to fly and breathe and move in a way with Condor to help me feel even lighter. And then in that, I could be rebirthed into who I am, into my own body, to my own spiritual essence, feeling grounded and connected to source energy again, just by having this beautiful journey to the lower world. So even I think even it doesn't matter if you've been doing healing work for 20 years, right? I've been doing Reiki for a long time. It's about having the spiritual practice. And that experience, that journey was only like 15 minutes, 10 minutes. It's not a lot, but it changes your whole understanding and dynamic of where you're at. So if you're if you're really stressed out, if you're really overwhelmed, if you're really panicky, if you're really in physical pain, whatever it is that's holding you back from embodying your higher self, the shamanic journey allows you to emphasize what needs to be healed. Heal me now. transform me now, do this work with me collaboratively. And that's where the magic resides.
And I think that's such a beautiful point of looking at how are we merging with nature? How are we merging with the spiritual aspects of ourselves and of the world? Because I think that's something that every person, especially people in the spiritual community, can resonate with, is that feeling of, I am disconnected and I don't know where the disconnect is. Something is missing and I don't know what it is and I don't know how to fix it. But then it leaves you feeling antsy and anxious and frustrated and lost and isolated and lonely, and all of these emotions that so many of us spiritual seekers are incredibly familiar with, right? Because that's part of it, right? When we are aware in a society and in a community that is for the most part unaware, it's an interesting path to walk. But when we have that awareness, when we are innately called to be connecting with the spiritual world, to be in communion with our spirit guides, to understand nature in a deeper way, and we're not doing those things, that's when that disconnect becomes uncomfortable. And that feeling of discomfort, that feeling of almost wanting to kind of like crawl out of your skin because there's something missing, I think is something a lot of Reiki practitioners can resonate with. And it's something that is so beautifully and profoundly addressed in a shamanic journey, because when we're shamanic journeying, we are becoming one with the spiritual realm. We are seeing beyond this physical reality and realizing that there is so much more. We stop seeing physical reality as the only reality, and we start seeing it as kind of like a sister to the spiritual world. That we don't give one more precedence than the other. We realize that both of those realms, both of those worlds are just as real as the other, and we can interact with each one with just the same amount of efficacy and healing and transformation. And so when we're journeying, it gives us that time to really plug back in, to plug back into source, to spirit, to God, to universe, however you want to turn that, to reunite with nature. And not just, the tree that's in your backyard, but the spirit of the tree that's in your backyard, the nature of nature itself, that nature with a capital N, reconnecting with, regrounding yourself, rerooting into your origins and to who you truly are on a deeper, more profound level. And that feeling is invaluable because suddenly you're not alone, you're not frustrated, you're not anxious, you're not depressed, you're not any of these things. You are connected, you are supported, you are healing, you are in process. And suddenly the idea of being in process is no longer scary. It's not bad, it's not hard. It's this understanding that when you're connected with your true self, with your core self, we are constantly evolving, we are constantly creating, we are constantly experiencing new things. And I think what shamanic journeying does is it allows you to get comfortable with that, not in a way that you get stagnant, not in a way that you're, this is how I am and I'm never going to change, but rather in a way that you are aware of and inspired by the fact that you are always going to be changing. And you know that in the midst of those changes, you don't have to feel lost. You don't have to feel disconnected because you can just go journey. You can just go journey and meet your spirit guide and ask them a question. You can just go to the lower world and merge with Condor and experience that feeling that you need to experience. The other day I was working on a journey. I was feeling really overwhelmed and disconnected, like I was just saying. And I was like, you know what? There's something here that I need to heal. And so I went on a journey. I put myself in that trance state with the drum beat. I took my deep breaths. I set my intention to understand why I was feeling so scared, why I was feeling so lonely. And I went and I journeyed. And just one part of this journey, it was a 15-minute journey. And in a 2-minute span, right in the middle, I was sitting with my primary spirit guide. And she reached into my heart chakra and she pulled out this locked steel box in the shape of a heart. It was like this big, giant box that was locked and it was made out of steel. And she was like, you know that you have the key. And I took out the key and I was like, well, do I unlock it? Do I not? And basically the message that she gave me was, you're holding so much. Your heart is so locked up right now. You have to choose to open it up. It's not something we can do for you. It's not something that we're going to do for you because this is a choice that you have to make. And as soon as I put in that key and I opened it up and I unlocked it, thousands and thousands and thousands of crows came flying out of this box. And the message there was all of this. They were representative of all of the pain and all of the loss and all of the trauma and all of the things that my mind, my body, my energy was holding on to in an effort to keep me safe. This whole entire time, my subconscious mind had been telling me that I was protecting myself so that I wouldn't get hurt. I was closing out that pain to keep it on the outside, when really what I was doing is I was keeping it locked in this box. And when I chose to unlock it, I let it out. So now it was free. Now it was open. Now they could move on and transmute. And what was really powerful about this is at the end, she looked at me and I still had the key. They had taken the box away and she was like, "Do you want to lock? Do you want to keep the key?" And I was like, "No, I don't want the key. I don't want to be able to lock that box up again. I want it to stay open." And I think that is one of the most profound aspects of journeying, is not only all of the insight and transformation that came out of that experience, but the fact that through it all, it was my choice. It was my opportunity to heal. It was not something that the spirit world is going to come in and do all this healing work for you. That's not how it works. And I think that's something that's so important to understand about shamanic journeying, is it's not a quick fix. It's not a band-aid. It requires you to be willing to go in and do the work, because we have free will. We have autonomy, and our spirit team is amazing at reminding us of that, and reminding us that healing is a choice, evolving is a choice, and we have to be the ones to choose that. And again, that was just one teeny tiny part of this journey, and it was so profoundly impactful, because it was not only exactly what I needed to hear, not only did it give me insight into this emotion and this experience that I'd been having that I hadn't had before, right? I say this quote all the time, but Einstein has this amazing quote of, "A problem cannot be solved at the same level of consciousness in which it was created," meaning that we have to change our perspective. We have to get to a new level of consciousness in order to solve a problem. But if the problem's in your subconscious mind, how the heck are you going to get to a new level of consciousness in your waking life? You're not. That's why we need shamanic journeys, because it puts us in a new state of consciousness. It gives us access to our guides and our spirit teams who have this ulterior perspective that then can come in and show us what we need to know. And so it was this really profound healing experience. And then it also gave me that reminder of, this is your journey. Healing is your choice. This is something that you get to do. Are you going to do it? And are you going to keep yourself, with that key, are you going to keep yourself with the safety net, or are you just going to leap? Are you just going to trust that you can do this, knowing that you have access to your guides, that you have access to the spiritual world, that you are safe? It's these really amazing, really profound nuggets of wisdom and interaction that come through a shamanic journey that we can't get anywhere else, right? There's no equivalent that I have found anyway. I mean, the closest thing I've found is soul speak that we teach at Reiki Cafe, but even that's different, because it's connecting to your intuition. There is no spiritual equivalent for a shamanic journey, because it is the only time that you're going to be able to go into your subconscious mind, that you're going to be able to develop your spiritual gifts, that you're going to be able to connect and develop a working relationship with your spirit team, while at the same time learning how to trust yourself, learning how to release limiting beliefs, learning how to heal traumas, all at the same time. There are so many practices that address those different aspects separately, but that I know of, there's not another equivalent that allows you to do all of that all at once in the span of 15 minutes. It's incredible. It's amazing. It's life-changing. Everybody should be able to do it, and that's part of why we have Soul Rising, is because it is so incredibly transformational. Whether your goal is to become a practitioner, or it's quote unquote just self-healing, I cannot imagine where or who I would be right now if I hadn't learned how to shamanic journey, if I didn't have that relationship with my spirit team, if I wasn't able to have the courage and the curiosity and the trust that when I'm experiencing something difficult, when I have a question, when I'm going through a hard time, when I have an intense emotion, knowing that I can just go journey and the answer is out there, the solution is out there, the healing is out there. I just have to be willing to step up and go find it. And that's what shamanic journeying gives you. And it's amazing.
I love that. I love everything as you just said, and know that this is why we have people who are channelers, people who have deep spiritual connections to bring in information, and yet they want to learn how to shamanic journey. And we have brand new beginner newbies to the spiritual world who are so spiritually curious, also looking to learn how to do shamanic journey work. So it doesn't matter if you're brand new or if you've been in the spiritual work for decades. Either way, learning how to shamanic journey helps you really hone into your spiritual practice. And I've even had people from different cultural backgrounds who have traveled back to their homelands to train with their shaman from their indigenous country, and they didn't get all of the information that they needed, and they have taken our courses because I was able to teach them in a way that they could pick it up. And for the person who I'm thinking of, it was that she was a woman. And so they weren't passing this knowledge to women. And so she came to me and I was like, I'll fill in your educational gaps. I'll teach you how to do this. I think everyone should know how to do this. And in that, we get to learn and tap into our true authentic selves with our full spirit team. And I think where our world is going through an awakening, through a transformation, that's why people are starting to get more intuitive hits. That's why we are having these awakenings as the world. These things are coming to the surface, and yet we live here on Earth at this time for a reason, and we need to be fully grounded and connected in with nature. And if we were all tuned in and connected with nature, we're going to respect her a hell of a lot more. Like, she deserves so much more gratitude and rejoicing and celebration of her magnificence of what she creates, the trees, the grass, the animals, everything that is happening on this world for nature. We will have more respect for when we walk this walk. We become more aware of suffering happening around us to the natural world, and we have a tangible way of like helping her back. Like, doing the shamanic journey, doing Reiki for her is amazing. And in the process, we get to heal ourselves too. So I really like to think of doing this work as the hope of healing the earth, walking with her while we're doing our spiritual enhancements, and learning how to walk that walk is just, it's profound. It is absolutely profound.
And I think that's, again, another thing that's so unique about a shamanic Reiki practice is there are so few spiritual techniques these days that allow you to experience the spiritual, that allow you to develop your clairvoyance, that allow you to see beyond the physical, while also rooting you so deeply in nature and in the earth and in that grounded connectedness. We have so much that is focused, and it's beautiful, right? It has its place. So many techniques that are focused on getting us out through our crown chakra, that are focused on, transcendence and enlightenment and all of these things, and they're beautiful and they have their place. But how often do we go do those things and then we come back feeling like, whoa, where's my body? Who am I? Why am I here? That's when we get those, those more crown chakra apathetic depressions of there's no meaning. Why are we doing this? That like apathy. And shamanic work is beautiful because what it does is it allows you to go so deeply into the nature of things, into the energy, into the truth of who you are, that as you go in, that's how you transcend, that's how you evolve, that's how you expand, is by going so deeply in. And so it gives you this really balanced practice of looking at finding those connections through our crown chakra, finding our connection to our spirit team, to the spiritual world, to the energetic, while also grounding and rooting us in the importance of this human experience, in the beauty of this human experience, in the point of our suffering and the hard things that we experience as opportunities to grow. It does both. And it's Christine mentioned earlier that it's why we have people who are channeling and things like that do shamanic Reiki. I'm a channeler, right? I channel regularly. A lot of our students have seen that happen in workshops and things. And still, I always come back to a shamanic journey or a shamanic practice because it has that grounding aspect. It puts a completely different spin on your spiritual life and on your spiritual practice, because it's not just now I'm channeling and now I'm not, or now I'm connected to my spirit guides and now I'm not. It's this gateway, this door that we can walk through that allows us to lead a spiritual life, to have that balance, that harmony in this physical world, and then the energetic world that's running through it and beyond it, and being able to be connected to both at once, and to find that balance and to find healing, and then realize that healing is just expansion. It's just evolution. It's just continuing our process and our purpose as human beings, but always bringing us back to that understanding that we have the answers, that we are supported, that we are loved, that we are connected, all of these really amazing things. And I think it's just so profound. It's one of those things that I don't think there are any words or any conversation we could have that will ever do it justice, because it's so uniquely personal and so deeply transformative that it's one of those things that you might get hints, your intuition might be calling you of, hey, look, that next step, that deeper thing, that disconnect that you've been feeling, what if this is it? But you're never going to be able to understand the fullness, the depth of healing, the depth of transformation, the depth of experience that's available until you do it, until you go in and you do a journey, you meet your spirit guide, you connect with your intuition, you find that nature beneath the nature. Just all of this amazing magical things that, like Christine said, really does make it feel like life is just lucid dreaming, because we're so connected, because there becomes no boundary between the spiritual and the physical. They become one thing, one realm for us to play in and explore and heal in and connect to. And it's that aspect of walking a spiritual life, being a spiritual being, but understanding that that spiritual experience is both in the energy and here in the physical world, and being grounded in it, and knowing that there's a purpose and beauty in that, while still being able to go and get the answers when you need them. It's just there are no words, I think, that do it justice, but it's the best thing we can do to share our experiences and to say, look at how profound it's been for us, for our students, for so many people around the world. What if it could be that profound for you too, you know?
Yeah. And so part of the process of learning how to shamanic journey, it's not a one and done thing. Like Izzy and I could do a shamanic journey for you on your behalf, but that's not the same as learning how to do it for yourself. And so in that process of learning how to shamanic journey for yourself, it takes time, and everyone is different. And we create this really amazing container for whatever you are in your pace. So some people pick this up right away. It's really easy for them. They know how to get out of their logical mind, their conscious mind field a lot easier. And then there's others who have experienced trauma or pain from the past, and they put these layers of protection on, and we need to help create a space where they feel safe to take some of those layers off to be able to do this work easily. And so part of the program in Soul Rising is that we have this 4-month container to learn, and for everyone it's going to take at least a couple months, but it may take 3 months to really have it click so that you can feel confident to do it on your own. So in Soul Rising, we'll have calls where you watch a journey prep before you come on here's the instructional, this is how you do it, and then you come into our sacred space that we've created so that we can journey together. We can all attempt these things. So we have created this energetic field, and then you have your mentors, your transformational guides, your teachers in this program who are offering Reiki, who are offering this space, that are offering this beautiful sacred container so that you can feel safe to go surrender to what the subconscious mind needs to bring forward in this healing process of the shamanic journey. And so there's a reason why, I know people who've gone through other programs and it's been difficult because there was no class container, or that there was a class container, but there was not a solid presence to make it feel safe, or that one person got to dictate the call and no one else had a chance to really try to discuss what was coming up for them. And so because we have this opportunity, we really try to hone in on each and every student's capabilities, their gifts, what's working for them. So to hone in specifically what's going to work best for you. So there are some students that will fall asleep. I'm going to give them a certain way to do this versus the person that has an overactive mind and can't go deep enough, right? And so we're always feeling into and adjusting and giving you a buffet of options to help you develop your spiritual gifts to make this process easier. And while we're doing that, we're healing the subconscious. We're working through the chakras. We're working through the inner child healing aspects so that we can do this even deeper, so it can feel even more authentic, so we can move beyond, was that my imagination, am I making this up, or wow, oh my god, I don't know where that came from, right? So there's this adjustment period where, as we learn and when we're witnessed in a group of everyone doing this work, it can be really profound, and it can be really create such a beautiful friendship group as well. Everyone who's part of our programs always says, oh my God, I love the chat. I love the messenger. I love the group, because everyone's supporting one another. They've never been in a group where they could be so vulnerable, talk about what's going on in their worlds from the spiritual aspect before, and that we're holding such a tight space where it's safe to do so, to be vulnerable, that magic happens just within that.
Right. And I think that's, I can't tell you how many times we have students come to a call and say something along the lines of, I'm so grateful for this group because I couldn't tell this to anyone else. Or you guys are the only ones that I can explain this to and not sound crazy. Or I'm so grateful that, I can talk about XYZ, or this journey I had, or this spirit that I saw in my house, or the chakra colors that I saw, or whatever it is, this experience I had in my Reiki session, and know that you guys will understand. There is such profound healing to be had in being seen, in being accepted, in being part of a community that is actively healing, that is actively moving through everything that you're moving through. So that when you're saying, when you show up to a call, and I love watching the transition in students from the first few calls that we have, where they start their stories with, I know this might sound crazy, but, and then by the end of the call, they're just like, okay, here's what happened. I was on a journey and my guide showed up, and then they just go. And it's this amazing experience that they have. And there's no hesitation. There's no shame. There's no fear. There's no anxiety. There's no doubt. They just are firmly rooted in that experience of, this was my spiritual experience. What was yours? And knowing that they have a space where then 5 other people are going to come in and be like, oh my gosh, this happened to me on Tuesday. And like, it's amazing to watch that transition, and thinking about in your own life, what would it feel like to go from feeling like you're crazy, feeling like you're disconnected, feeling like you're alone, feeling like you must be doing it wrong, to feeling so supported and so seen and part of a group, and knowing that you're doing it exactly right, and having that trust in, this was an experience that I had, and look how much healing I got from it, and look how much information I got from it, and feeling so confident and empowered and whole and present. Like, think about how amazing that would be. And I think that's always one of the top takeaways that our students have, is how impactful it is when you can step into a space where you, all of you, is accepted and seen and understood and heard and reflected back. And you have the space to walk in, and everything that you experience, you bring to the table, and it's accepted and it's met with love and gratitude. And then other people share their experiences. It's incredibly powerful, and it's beautiful to watch as a teacher and as a facilitator, of watching that process happen, because it's something that I don't think you can get anywhere else. And I think it's something that's really unique to our courses, is that sense of community, and in that community, still the personalized attention that you get, and that ability to actually talk with your teachers and, hop on a call with them if you need to, and really feel like you're not just one of a million faces. You're not just a name on a screen, but you actually have a working personal relationship with your teachers, the same way that you're working to develop a working personal relationship with your guides and with your power animals and with yourself. It's that knowing that, there's that really famous and kind of cliche quote of, as within, so without, as above, so below, knowing that that relationship that you're developing with us, with your guides, with your teachers here in the physical with Christine and myself and Chantel, that is setting the stage for, it's holding the energy for the kinds of relationships and connections that you're going to make in the spiritual world. It's that reflection of the physical into the spiritual, and knowing that that's such an important part of it, because when you're open to those connections, when you're open to those relationships in the physical world, then you're going to be open to them in the spiritual world, and it's going to mimic that when we bring it into a journey, when we bring it into the spiritual world. And so there are so many beautiful connections and ways that this course connects and brings things over from the spiritual and into the physical, and vice versa, in honor of healing and in honor of you and in honor of where you are on your journey, and looking at what do you need each step of the way, while also giving you, here's this group that's there to support you as well.
And so on that note, if you are interested in looking for this type of experience, we've got the one just for you. We're going to teach you how to shamanic journey. We're going to teach you about how to heal your chakras, the first 4 chakras that hold so much of our inner truth and wounds and all of the things. While we learn the shamanic lens of Reiki, was Usui a shaman? What was the cultural like that gave way to Reiki in such a way that it did? And so this is our Soul Rising program. This is a 4-month program to teach you how to shamanic journey, how to connect with your guides, how to communicate with them, how to heal yourself, how to integrate Reiki into the practice, all for self-healing. So in the past, we've had programs where you needed to be a level 2 of Reiki practitioner before you could join us. Now we're saying anyone is welcome. We're going to give you the full foundation and basics, as well as have people who have been doing this Reiki for years and want to learn how to shamanic journey. Maybe they don't want to shamanic journey for others. Maybe they don't want to learn how to do cord cutting. Maybe they don't want to become a practitioner in this, but this is a huge self-healing tool. And so we want to make it available for anyone who wants to learn it. So we developed Soul Rising. And we know our programs work because we've done them for years now, and our student feedback is amazing. So if you haven't checked out the link for Soul Rising, I'm putting it in the show notes. Go check it out. Check out the testimonials. In the Facebook group, we've already had people commenting there on the Soul Rising program who have taken our shamanic Reiki practitioner trainings, that they have such positive, wonderful things to say about Izzy, myself, and Chantel as the teachers, the leaders of this program, and also the program itself, that they are really making these transformational changes in their life. And it's because they were able to do this work together. So if this is something that you're interested in, we're in early bird right now. I highly recommend checking out the link, letting us know if you have questions, DM us over on Facebook Messenger, shoot us an email. We want to hear from you, and all of the things.
Yes. And don't forget that if you enroll before January 17th, you'll not only snag us at early bird pricing, but you will also get access to our Chakra Flow and Reiki and Manifesting Abundance courses. These are 2 of our best-selling and most impactful courses that we offer for the community. We have amazing feedback on them. They're huge sellers. And if you enroll, if you save your spot in Soul Rising before Wednesday, January 17th, you'll get access to Chakra Flow and Reiki and Manifesting Abundance as a bonus. So now is the time. If you're feeling the call, if you're excited, if you're interested, head on over to the link. If you have questions, book a call with myself or Christine, send us a message. And otherwise, thank you all so very much for joining us for today's conversation. I hope you found it educational, inspiring, uplifting, all of the things, and we'll see you next time.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.